I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to this morning's Veterans Day Commemoration Hall. The program today honors those veterans who are with us, and also all of those others who have served our country in peacetime and wartime over the past 250 years. Their commitment, loyalty, and service to our country, to the values for which it stands, and for each one of us ought never to be forgotten. I am delighted to welcome to Hall today members of our community who have served our country in the armed forces. Would you please join me in acknowledging this morning's speaker, Rob Powell, class of 11, alumni Bob Powers, 66, John Lawler, 75, Tom Hennessy, 01, Don Pellegrini, 04, and Josh Rivers, 11, as well as Doug Meade. Would they and any other members of our faculty, staff, or guests who have served please stand to receive our recognition. Veterans Day, originally called Armistice Day, was established at the conclusion of World War I to commemorate the service, sacrifice, and valor of those who had heeded their country's call, and in many cases offered the supreme sacrifice. 170 years ago today, on November 11, 1918, the armistice was signed, ending a war that for 4 years had raged throughout Europe, exacting the suffering and lives of millions of young Europeans and Americans. The armistice was signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Nearly 5 million American men and women were part of that war effort. 200,000 were injured, and 110,000 were killed. In June of 1917, 24 RL graduates were in the service. And by October 1918, more than 250 RL graduates were wearing the country's uniform. To offer some perspective, the school only graduated between 20 to 25 boys in those days. 250 is an enormous representation of that cohort. 13 former RL students were killed in action for training during World War I. During World War II, 330 RL graduates served in the U.S. military, and 19 were killed in action for training. Those 330 servicemen, too, constituted an especially high percentage of RL students of the age to serve. Many more recent graduates have served in Korea and Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Over the years, nearly 50 million Americans have been part of military service during the war. On the back of your program, you will find a list of RL boys who made the ultimate sacrifice. This same list of honorable men is etched on a plaque, permanently installed on the first floor of the Perry Building. That plaque was a gift of Bob Powers, class of 66, his wife Jane, and their sons Brent and Mark Powers, both class of 2002. After Roxbury Latin, Brent and Mark went on to earn degrees at the Naval War College and Naval Academy, respectively. We are pleased to have Bob and Jane with us in Hall this morning. Please join me in thanking the Powers family for this important gift to the school and for the collective service to our country. Over the past few years, we have welcomed on this important day several speakers, typically veterans themselves, who have shared their stories. As we talked about last week, it was John Elliott's hope that Roxbury Latin would prepare boys for service. And in offering you examples of those who have served in the military, I believe we have reminded you of this mission. Many of our young men who have signed on over the past several years report that these annual halls have made an impression on them. The following alumni are currently in active duty on behalf of our country. Zach Chicolo, 05, William Butte, 06, Matt Nealon, 09, Justice Gibson, 12, Martin Buckley, 15, Joe Doherty, 17, Mitchell Garvey, 17, Ryan LaRoe, 17, Chris Bulger, 17, John Paul Buckley, 22, ROTC, Nolan Walsh, 22, ROTC, Hunter Lane, 24, ROTC, and Jake Popio, 24, at the Naval Academy. Through these RL men, we can draw a direct and impressive line to those World War II vets honored by the school several years ago, to 4 RL alumni casualties in the Civil War, and to RL's most famous veteran, General Joseph Warren, class of 1755, who lost his life at Bunker Hill. The inclination to serve our country is a natural extension of our founder's admonition to public service, as he said, in church and commonwealth. Whether through military academies, ROTC, or direct enlistment, our boys have heeded the call to lead and to serve. I know I speak for all of us when I express deep gratitude for their act of sacrifice and for the sacrifice of all members of the U.S. military and their families over these centuries.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce, heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. And now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from falling hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Oh, I've slipped the surly lawns of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunbird I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you've not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, where never lark or even eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.
It is my great pleasure to welcome back to Roxbury Latin this morning Captain Robert Powell, member of the class of 2011. During his time at RL, Rob was a beloved classmate, a diligent student, a determined athlete, and a broad contributor to the life of the school. He lettered in 3 varsity sports, including football, wrestling, and track and field, was a member of the debate and Greek club, and was one of the founding members of the Classics Club, performing as an ex-Lano Dei declaimer during its 5th year. He was a generalist in the truest sense. More impressive, however, were the qualities described of Rob in his college letter. Robbie, it read, is prized for his consistently positive attitude, for the premium he places on friendship, and for his cheerful willingness to help out in a worthy cause. During his high school years, on top of demanding academics and robust extracurricular commitments, Rob was also a committed scout for the Boy Scouts of America, earning the esteemed designation of Eagle Scout. He was so effective in these endeavors that he was appointed patrol leader and then senior patrol leader. During the summer of 2009, Rob traveled to Botswana to participate in a Habitat for Humanity build, during which he worked alongside local construction workers and volunteered at a home for AIDS orphans. Upon his graduation from RL, Rob enrolled at Santa Clara University, where he earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in civil engineering, and where he also served as a U.S. Air Force ROTC Cadet Squadron Commander. Upon graduation from college, he entered the Air Force in 2016 through the Reserve Officer Training Corps. Captain Powell was the flight commander of the 87th Civil Engineer Squadron Explosive Ordnance Disposal Plant. He was responsible for 13 installations worldwide, rendering safe capabilities for over 80 mission partners, 48,000 personnel, and $14 billion in assets. He held base-level positions in both engineering and operations flights, and his work includes 2 deployments to Kuwait and Qatar. After 8 years of service, Rob concluded his active duty in 2023. Most recently, he completed his MBA at Yale and began work as a corporate strategy consultant for IBM in New York. A pattern over the course of his life, Rob continues to challenge himself physically and mentally into adulthood, running marathons in Kuwait, Amsterdam, and Normandy, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and organizing fundraisers to raise more than $20,000 in support of wounded veterans. At RL, we care most of all what kind of person a boy is, and we are certainly proud to claim Captain Powell as one of our own. I should also note that Rob is the son of our own beloved Mrs. Carolyn Powell, and a strong contingent of the Powell Duffy families are with us this morning. I am grateful for Rob being with us today to share some of his military experiences and reflections, and to help us honor all who have served our country in this way. Please help me welcome back to alma mater, Captain Rob Powell.
Jumpy there. So excited to talk to you. Good morning. It's truly an honor to be back here at Luminaire Hall. It's been 14 years since I've been sitting in these front few rows, so it's pretty special for me to be back here. Before I begin, I want to thank Aaron Berg and Dr. Schaefer for the invitation today. And I also want to recognize the RL alumni who served in our nation's military. In particular, my classmates from the class of 2011, Josh, who you know is here today, but also Dante Gaziano and Thomas Buckley. You don't often see a graduating class of 4 going the military route, so that's something I've always been pretty proud of. Also, a quick shout out to my friend and Coast Guard veteran Doug Mead for also being here today. Also, my mom. This is fun. I was looking through my RL yearbook the other day just to try to stir up memories of this place, and I found that my class superlative that my classmates had chosen for me was actually chattiest. which is of course a joke because I was always, typically the quietest kid in the class, but it does feel a little ironic being back here today having the chance to chat with you. We're going to be talking about my personal growth journey in a couple minutes. I feel like I'm really going to be putting those words to the test. It's really great to be back here, having an opportunity to reflect and share what this day means to me, especially at a place that's always believed education isn't just about acquiring knowledge, but about building character and serving others as well. Military service has been part of this school's story for centuries. So before I get into my own story, I want to talk briefly about one of Roxborough Island's earliest examples, Dr. Joseph Warren. Now, I'm not sure he gets brought up every Veterans Day at all, but if he doesn't, he should, because his story is pretty incredible. During my time here, I was vaguely aware of who he was, but I didn't really appreciate it. A few quick highlights. He graduated from RL in 1755 at the age of 14. He actually came back to teach here briefly before becoming a physician and opening his own practice. He became a respected doctor who, in the vein of his friend John Adams, treated both patriots and British loyalists, a type of empathy I think we can all learn from. He witnessed the Boston Massacre firsthand and treated the wounded. He personally, himself, dispatched our revered William Dawes in the famous Midnight Riots. He organized and led the Massachusetts militia in the Battle of Lexington and Concord. Before that battle, he told his mother, "Now is no time for one of America's children to shrink from the most hazardous duty. I will either set my country free or shed my last drop of blood to make her so." He was commissioned as a major general in the Continental Army, but on the eve of the Battle of Bunker Hill, he asked where the heaviest fighting would be and volunteered to fight as a private on the front lines instead. He died at Bunker Hill at the age of 34 years old. When I read about Joseph Warren, I see that he was RL through and through. Smart, driven, and never afraid to step up when it mattered. And when I think about Dr. Warren and so many other RL alumni who've chosen to serve, I'm reminded that service doesn't always come from some lifelong calling. It often starts with small decisions, to step up and take responsibility. I didn't realize it at the time, but that same idea would eventually guide me too. So let's fast forward a few years. Like many of you, I started at Roxborough Island as a 6E. I was not a particularly strong student. I was in CMath, if we still call it CMath. And like some RL students, I had a few humbling moments, such as Mr. Randall's class 4 Latin class. That was a tough one, got by. But the truth of the matter is, by the time I was finishing up here at RL, I did not have some grand plan to join the military. I was not a kid who always dreamt about wearing the uniform. Apart from my great-grandfather who served in World War I and great-uncle who served in World War II, I didn't have any family in the military. Like most high school seniors, I was thinking about college and how to pay for it. I found that the Reserve Officer Training Corps program, or ROTC, was an opportunity for me to not only get a scholarship, but also set myself up for something beyond school. So I took it. It was honestly just a practical decision at the time, but one that ended up defining the next 13 years of my life. I decided to go to Santa Clara University on the other side of the country, and before I knew it, I was running in formation at 5 in the morning, getting yelled at for my crooked salute, peach fuzz facial hair. I was studying civil engineering at the time because the Air Force required a technical major, and figured designing bridges and buildings sounded pretty cool, so I picked that. Soon enough, I graduated and commissioned into the Air Force as a second lieutenant. I went in as a civil engineer officer. Our jobs are to build and maintain Air Force bases. In the combat zone, our jobs are to ensure facilities are survivable and airfields are functional so we can get planes off the ground and drop bombs on the bad guys. My first assignment took me to Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, which, I'll be honest, is an interesting place to be as a 22-year-old with a steady paycheck for the first time in their life. But I really enjoyed my time there.
I worked as a construction project manager, overseeing everything from runway pavement repairs to roof replacements across the base. I also deployed to Ali Yasmin Air Base in Kuwait, where I managed the unit's budget and got my first real taste of deployment life, including what it's like to spend the holidays overseas. The problem for me, though, was that there weren't many combat operations at the time. I wanted something more. I wanted something to challenge myself. So I applied for Explosive Ordnance Disposal, or what we call EOD. EOD is the military's bomb squad. The job is simple to describe, but complex to live. Essentially, when something dangerous is discovered, whether it's a suspicious package, an unexploded bomb, anything that's a threat to our troops, our job is to go in and handle it. But you can't just go walking on to the bomb squad. I had to get through the selection pipeline first, which is about 12 months straight of nonstop physical and mental grind. We're talking going from burpees in our 80-pound bomb suits, which is something that ACT continues to pay for to this day, to sticking a blasting cap into a block of C4 and pulling the timepiece. We're talking learning how to disarm grenades, landmines, guided missiles, improvised explosive devices, chemical weapons, biological weapons, even nuclear weapons. It was the hardest, most stressful year of my life. I was tested every single day, physically, mentally, emotionally, but I learned what I was really capable of. So graduating was the most rewarding thing I'd ever felt. I was assigned to Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst in southern New Jersey, and took command of a team of about 20 EOD technicians, some of the most capable and confident people you'll ever meet. Most of them were older than me. All of them were what you might call alpha personalities. It was the first time I was a real frontline leader, responsible not just for the mission, but for the people doing it. I had to earn their respect the hard way, by showing up, listening, and proving that I wouldn't ask them to do anything I wouldn't do myself. Respect was also earned in the weight room, probably another reason my back still hurts. We handled countless explosive emergency responses. A few of them include going to the Jersey Shore to pick up World War II munitions that were washing up onto the beach. You see, in the 1960s, our government had the bright idea of dumping thousands and thousands of military munitions into the Atlantic Ocean, never to be seen again, right? Another time we went to Governor's Island, off the tip of Manhattan. The folks out there discovered their decorative Civil War era cannonballs actually had an adapter that might have indicated it could contain live black powder. Thankfully that they didn't, but that didn't stop my team from getting caught up in New York traffic in our response truck, which is laden with explosives. That was a stressful couple hours. We would also frequently support the Secret Service. Anytime the President, Vice President, or First Lady went anywhere, we would augment the Secret Service by conducting bomb sweeps. I remember spending the night of the 2020 election clearing out the Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C. Later in 2021, I deployed to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. At the beginning of the deployment, we actually trained Qatari EOD technicians ahead of the FIFA World Cup, building their capacity to protect massive crowds. But for the first couple months, that deployment was pretty much as exciting as watching sand collect on more sand. It was hot, monotonous, uneventful. My team of 16 and I spent our days working out and training, staying sharp on our latest tactics, techniques, procedures. But in August, everything changed. The United States began its full withdrawal from Afghanistan, and what followed was a rapid and unilateral takeover by the Taliban. As Afghan civilians who had previously supported American operations found themselves in danger, our base's mission quickly shifted to executing a large-scale airlift operation. Over the next 2 weeks, my base saw an unprecedented influx of 57,000 people. For reference, the base normally supports about 8,000. And those 8,000 were troops. These were families, women and children, people who had just been completely uprooted from their homes. And it was the dead of summer. I actually remember taking a screenshot on my phone. The weather app read 116 degrees. The humidity level was around 80 to 85%. So the actual feels like temperature on my iPhone read 140 degrees. It was hot. With that many people packed onto a base built for a fraction of the size, problems started piling up fast. The issue of trash, of all things, became a crisis. The base's refuse contract couldn't handle the demand. Dumpsters overflowed. Trash bags baked in the sun until entire refugee sites were overcome by the smell. It got so bad that it was being reported up the chain to senior U.S. officials and even the Emir of Qatar. So we had a choice: wait for someone else to fix it, or do it ourselves. We scrounged up 4 dump trucks, taught ourselves how to drive them, and got to work. For the next 10 days, we rotated shifts, collecting and hauling trash across the refugee sites. We called ourselves the Special Operations Trash Team, our best effort to keep that cool guy operator image alive. It wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. Each day we saw the difference it made. Cleaner areas, fewer flies, better conditions for the refugees. The evacuation of Afghanistan is known to the public as a complete military failure. And in many, many ways, it was. But for me, it looked different. I witnessed 57,000 civilians evacuate near my base in 2 weeks. There were no fatalities. In fact, 13 babies were born within that time frame, delivered by untrained military doctors in austere military facilities. I came out of this experience with a changed perspective, not just on the legacy of my service, but on the ambitions of my career. I joined EOD to disarm bombs in combat environments, the kinds of threats that define the post-9/11 wars. Instead, I found myself leading a trash detail in the middle of a humanitarian crisis. I guess what I'm trying to say is, while my time in EOD certainly wasn't what I expected, I am grateful it was marked by harboring innocent civilians instead of burying friends. After that deployment, I realized my time in the military had run its course. I'd had incredible experiences and worked with people I'll admire for the rest of my life. But I was ready to start something new. Something that didn't involve moving every few years or being halfway around the world as much as being at home. So I made the tough decision to separate from the Air Force. I applied to business school, was lucky enough to be accepted to Yale, and 2 years later, I've now joined IBM's corporate strategy team. It's a very different kind of mission, as I'm sure you can guess, but the same lessons still apply. Teamwork, respect, accountability. Whether you're leading a bomb squad, or trying to make sense of whatever's going on with AI these days, it still comes down to people, purpose, and problem solving. Those lessons have a way of sticking with you, shaping how you think what really matters. If I could go back and talk to myself sitting in one of these front few rows or way back up into the 60 gallery, there are a few things I'd say. First, seek discomfort. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens when you're out of your depth, when you don't know if you can pull it off, but you try anyway. Whether it's performing an Exelounder day despite being the chattiest member of the class, joining ROTC on the other side of the country, or taking a job in an industry without any prior experience, that's how I've grown. Second, leadership isn't about authority, it's about trust. People don't follow you because of your position, they follow you because of your consistency. Show up, listen, do the work, and give credit before you take it. Third, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I'll say it again, appreciate this place. I didn't realize it at the time, but RL is different. The expectations, the teachers, the sense of community, they shape you in ways you'll only understand later. The habits you're forming right now, discipline, curiosity, those will carry you through the hardest moments of your life. And most importantly, remember that service doesn't just mean wearing a uniform. You don't have to be in the military to serve something bigger than yourself. Service can be how you treat people, how you show up for your friends, how you do your job with integrity. If you lead with humility and purpose, you'll find plenty of chances to serve, no uniform required. These lessons about growth, leadership, and the people around you are the ones I still try to live by. They're also what Veterans Day reminds me of every year. This Veterans Day, I think about the men and women I served with. I think about the people who served before. I think about 34-year-old Major General turned private Joseph Warren, contributing to the chain of events that would win this country's independence. And I think about you fellas, the next generation of Roxbury Island students who have the same capacity and potential to lead and serve. Thank you for the honor of sharing this day with you, and thank you for remembering the meaning of service. May we all continue to serve in or out of the uniform with courage, humility, and purpose. Thank you.
Rob, thank you so much for that story, the stories, and for that message. Those are sentiments we never hear enough. And now, let us pray. God of our fathers, who has blessed this country with graces beyond measure, teach us to appreciate those who have gone before us and have made the ultimate sacrifice in order that we might be free. Inspire us to be relentless in our own pursuit of freedom. Grant us the wisdom to discern that which is worth fighting for. And lead us always along paths of peace and brotherhood and righteousness. Amen. Now would you all stand and turn to one another and offer a sign of peace. how fortunate we are to be at a school like this that produces graduates such as Rob, and to be able to gather together on days like this. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. I should remind our guests and faculty who are available that you are welcome to join us in the refectory for a reception afterwards. Have a wonderful day. Last one.